This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
This is Monster, my podcast.
And these are orcs.
There's a monster in my podcast.
Classic orc.
Classic as classic can be. Also,
are we almost out of these?
Kind of boring.
Can we be done?
Can we be done with
humans,
with warlike demi-humans? I don't know.
I'm gonna look through the rest of the book and see how close the end is with those things, because I'm pretty sick of them.
Yeah.
It's they're iconic, but it's hard to grant them even the same grace that I grant goblins.
Right. I think that really the first one of these was just the summary of the idea, because most of what you get in this is descriptions of their formations and stuff, the kind of things that we just kind of gloss over. I admit I didn't really read this entry very carefully for any nuggets that might be put in with, for every 3 there is an advisor and a vizier.
You scan for numbers, and paragraphs that have a lot of numbers you can skip.
Yeah.
Almost exclusively.
Yes. Shamans and witch doctors gain an extra 1d4 hit points for each level above first, and fight as a monster of 1 hit die for every 2 levels, round fractions up.
So they might have, a couple spells.
Right.
So what we have to look forward to as far as potentially, we're almost done.
Okay.
With those. We have the troglodytes.
Okay.
And trolls coming up.
Yeah.
And trolls have a little bit of extra.
They've got the regen stuff, right?
Yeah. But they're still pretty bland.
Yeah.
But we're almost done with that. And then we can realize that in the future, we plan around those.
Yes.
It only took us the year to figure it out. But
yeah.
Because there's nothing interesting about them. They can be, even in fiction, they just kind of fill in the cracks.
Right.
It's not like Lord of the Rings is necessarily cool. They're just a horde.
Right.
They could be a horde of people. It could be a horde of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Any just kind of strong monster.
Yeah. Orcs have a reputation for cruelty that is deserved, but humans are just as capable of evil as orcs.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Equivocate and roll nobody. I mean, if that's what you're going to try to get across in your adventure, more power to you, I guess.
Right.
But it's just, you have too many options to do that.
Yeah, I would not immediately. If I was trying to make a point about humanity, I would not go into an orc. I would not. No. I would not lean on that, because I think that just for so long they have been used as, what's cannon fodder but for swords. Yeah.
And there's a couple little bits in here of trying to make them seem cooler. There are Orogs, which are just the strong one, which is not that cool. And they talk about half orcs a bit, which that's a player class, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of end up being ugly people or kind of clever orcs.
Right.
And we just did this with ogres.
We did.
We just had that exact same dynamic book.
Yeah. So I don't know what they would have lost by just having one big demi-human entry with small subheaders. Make it a long entry,
Yeah.
They really should have been thinking about podcasts when they wrote this.
Alternatively, I don't know what they would have lost by just having one big demi-human. As opposed to
you feel like a couple stories tall.
Yeah. Again, there's just the orc.
Yeah.
And it's you walk around, Faerun, every once in a while you run into the orc.
Ooh.
And it's just a giant, the end of the VR missions or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Metal Gear, the giant genome soldier.
Yeah. Huh.
Into it.
They'd still find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah, I know. It would still be boring. It would still be for every one, every 10d10 inches of the orc, it possibly has 2 more hit points.
Yes.
And stuff. Orcs blow.
Roll to determine whether it carries a pike or a spear.
We got both kinds. Country and Western.
Brought to you by our backers at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.